Hello, welcome to Knit for Life. My name is Brette Rothschild. I am a physical therapist and avid knitter. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you are new and just joining me. I really appreciate you being here. I said in my last episode, but it's kind of awkward sitting here talking to no one but my camera and maybe my dogs. But I really appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate everyone commenting. It really helps me get to know you and engage with you. It's been really, really fun chatting with you in the comments. If you would like to continue the conversation off of here on Instagram, you can find me at knitforlife.wellness. I would love to chat with you there as well. But thank you. Thank you for just being here and listening to me gab. So what do I have in store for you today? So I have some notes, but I try to follow my notes, but then I do always get off track. I did earlier in the week, I asked on Instagram and YouTube if anyone had any PT related questions for me. And so I am definitely going to address those in the episode today. I'm going to talk a little bit about a test knit struggle I'm having. I'm going to talk about an FO, some my whips and some of my fall planning because it is definitely, well, in my mind, it's already sweater weather, even though it's not really cold enough yet here in Massachusetts to wear sweaters, but it is definitely starting to feel a little bit more like fall. And fall for me is just such a beautiful time of year. For me, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in my planning, but I don't know if anyone else can relate. It just feels like such a reset for me. I know a lot of people like New Year's, they make New Year's resolutions and goals, and I tend to do that in the fall. I don't know if it's just like my instinct, but I just feel like fall for me is a time to like kind of regroup and plan knitting goals, life goals, whatever it is. But I tend to have a lot more energy this time of year as fall approaches, and I really, really just vibe in fall. It's definitely my flow state. Okay, so let's talk about, so let's see. I already went off track, but that's okay. This is life. I also just want to call out the elephant in the room. I did get a haircut and I got bangs. So if you see me kind of like fiddling with my bangs, then that is why I am just learning to style them. But I've never had bangs before and I thought it would be a fun change. So yes, I did get a haircut. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm wearing too, but for now, you can hopefully just see, let's see in the computer. Yeah, I think you can see my logo Knit for Life here, and I'll talk about this a little bit. Okay, let's go over I have one FO to share with you, and I did post my finished object on Instagram. So hopefully some of you were able to see that. But I am participating in, for the first time, testing for Tori Yu. She's an incredible designer, and she put out a test knit for a pattern called the Rhinebeck Raglan. It is a beautiful pattern, and I finished mine. So I talked about this a little bit on my previous episode, but the yarn, she did her sample in Highland, Harrisville Highland, and I did order that yarn. I actually got it in the same color, the Adobe color that she did her sample in, and I loved it so much. But when I went to gauge swatch for this pattern, I couldn't meet the gauge. I had to go down 2 needle sizes, but then when I went down 2 needle sizes, the fabric was a little bit dense. And you'll see this is like a common theme for me, which I probably shouldn't test knit because of this, but I'll talk about it a little bit more when I talk about my whips. But so anyways, with this Highland yarn, it just wasn't working for me. So I decided to use Cascade 220 in the color Birch Heather. I already had some of this in stash and I just had to go, I went to Ode to Joy to pick up a couple more. I'm sorry, not Ode to Joy, Knit Club in Providence. Ode to Joy is another fabulous yarn store in Providence. But I went to Knit Club in Providence and picked up some more Cascade 220 in the color Birch Heather for this pattern. So I will insert, if you see me looking here, I'm just looking to make sure it's in frame, but this is my Rhinebeck Raglan. It is a beautiful texture. Hopefully you can see that okay. It's just such a beautiful texture, a folded neckline. I'm going to post, I did my folded neckline in this. It's a tutorial that I learned and posted from when I did a test knit for Abology. I talked about that, the slip over that I did, and I followed a tutorial that she posted about for this stretchy folded collar bind off. So basically, it's kind of like when you knit your stitches together in a top down, but well, it actually doesn't have to be a top down because this one was a picked up collar. But when you stitch it down, you basically pick up another stitch and knit another stitch. So it adds this like, there we go. Is that in focus? It adds this like braid detail on the inner side and it's nice and stretchy. So I love the way it finishes the collar. So I did that on this. I did have to add, I believe it was about I did another repeat, which is I did two more repeats. So I think it was 2 more inches that I had to add to the sleeve before I added the cuff on the sleeves. This, I did do a couple mid-project blocks to make sure I was good with the length of for the hem and the body, and then the cuffs on the sleeve before I decided to put the ribbing detail on. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful raglan, and I really, really love the texture. I am an English style knitter at heart. Like my natural rhythm is to do English style. It's how I learned to knit, throwing English style. And with this pattern and in ribbing specifically, I like to do continental. So I do a combination method, which is basically I'm holding my yarn in my left side. I'm doing a typical knit stitch in a continental, picking the stitch. But then for the purl, I am going the reverse way through the stitch, so it ended up twisted on my needle. So then when I work that stitch again on the next round, I just knit it or purl it through the back loop. That's what I do for my ribbing. And because some of the rows in this pattern, in this texture stitch are knit, purl, and a lot of times will get shoulder pain when I'm like switching back and forth between knitting and purling when I'm English style. So that's why I will switch to ribbing. And you'll hear about my saga with tension and everything with continental knitting, but with the combination knitting, I can have a consistent good tension. It's when I try to do continental in like stockinette, that's or straight purl straight knits, that's when I have an issue with my tension. But for ribbing and knit purl combination knitting, I'm good with my tension. I know, strange. So that is my 1FO. This yarn, this is color, I'm not sure if I said the name. I did say Cascade 220, but it is the non-superwash and it's colored Birch Heather. It's just such a beautiful color. It's like a greeny yellow. It has a little bit of heathering in it. And I do have to say their dye lots are pretty consistent across their different dye lot colors because the second batch, the 2 skeins I got, in addition to what I had in my stash, were a different dye lot number, but I believe it was, well, Vanessa and then Venus, who's at the store, did tell me that they're pretty consistent with their colors, which was so true because I couldn't tell any difference between the skeins. So that worked out for me. All right. So my Rhinebeck raglan is an FO. Let's talk about my whips. So I have talked about this before, and I'm going to post a link about the resources I use to plan for this, but I typically like to have an on-the-go project, a social project, and a home project. See, there's my bangs again. An on-the-go project, a social project, and a home project. So for the on-the-go project, like to have something that's portable. I can throw in my purse. I can potentially, I've been practicing walking and knitting only on my treadmill, not outside yet. And then my social project can be something that I bring with me to a knit night or coffee chats with friends or, dinner with the family. I'm on a meeting and I can still engage in the meeting, but it helps me concentrate when I'm moving my hands. So that kind of project is my social project. And then my home project is something that takes more concentration. In this case, it was at most parts of this pattern in my Rhinebeck raglan, that was my home project. This test knit that I'm currently working on and figuring out what to do with, that's my home project. Cables, color work charts, things like that are more of my home project. So I'd like to plan out in those categories. And you'll see with my future planning, I'm going to have things like following in those footsteps. So when I finish my on the go project, which is my Manhattan hat right now, I will then have another on the go project to work on. Okay, so let's start there. My on the go. So this is my Manhattan hat. I need to start being a good podcaster and put progress markers in there, but I didn't put one last time I showed this. But this is just my Manhattan hat. I am doing it's a Tori U pattern. I'll put all the links. I'm going to have my Ravelry linked below, and then also all of the details that anything I mentioned will be in the show notes. This is Durera Natura Gilead yarn in the color caramel. And it's I said this before, but it's amazing how I can like forget what day of the week it is, but I remember everything about a yarn, mostly yarn like names, patterns, gauge, all that. I can remember crazy details like that and then don't remember like normal things like what day it is. Anyways, so this is Durham Natura Gilead in the color caramel, the Manhattan hat, and this has been my on the go project. I do think that my next on the go walking treadmill project will be either I want a stockinette project, like a Musselburgh or a DK sock. Although I think I've sworn off socks, I'm not sure yet, but something stockinette versus rib. I am doing this in, like I said, combination knitting. And I think it would be easier if turn that off, if my project that I'm working while walking is a just simple stockinette. All right, so more to come on that. That's my Manhattan hat. My on the go a little bit, I can walk with this one and it is portable, but then also this goes a little bit into my social project as well. This kind of falls in between the two categories. Is my Mildi Scarf. This is a pattern by Sandra, and I will post the information. She is a beautiful podcaster, but then also designer out of where is she out Iceland. And this is the Mildi Scarf. I haven't, again, made much progress on that. I had to rip back because when I thought I was done, I put it on barber cord, tried it on. I realized it was a little too short for my liking, so I wanted to keep going. I had a second ball of this baby alpaca, and it's working out beautifully. I probably have about like, I don't know. I'm gonna see how I go. I might finish out this. This is how much I have left of this second ball, the 50-gram ball. It's just a baby alpaca. And I'm in no rush to finish this because I won't wear it until it gets colder anyways. So that is my Mildy scarf. And again, that's in my on the go slash social. And this is living in my Rhinebeck bag I got last year. All right. And then my other whip is my Sevilla blouse by Petite Knit. I am knitting this up in a color called Caribbean Sea, I believe, by Barocco Vintage. Let's see, let's make sure. Caribbean Sea. This is Barocco Vintage. And this is a simple boat neck, drop shoulder, beautiful, simple pattern that I think I'm going to make one for myself as well when I finish Taylor's. But this one is for my daughter. I spoke about this before, but she did ask me to knit her a sweater. And we went and she picked out this yarn and the pattern. And so this is how far I've gotten. I am probably about like 5 more inches to go on the body length. You can kind of see that ridge up top, that inconsistency and tension a little bit. So I I sometimes I don't recommend this, and I know you're not supposed to do this, but I will sometimes switch up my if I'm English style knitting, and then I'll switch to continental based on how I'm feeling, because sometimes when I throw, I do get that shoulder pain. So based on like where I'm sitting, I will change things up and maybe try continental for a little bit, but it does mess with my tension. Generally speaking, it's not enough that it won't just block out. It will block out, right? So I do switch things up a little bit, but you can see it there. And I'm hoping, because this yarn is a little bit acrylic in it. I don't usually work with acrylic, so I'm not sure if it will block out okay, but we will see. And if it has a little ridge in it, it is homemade. Hopefully my daughter won't mind it too much. Anyways, my health is more important to me than a simple little ridge in a sweater. So I feel like if I can continue to experiment with the ways I'm knitting, my knitting doesn't have to be perfect. And I'd rather just knit forever and knit for life versus worry about a little ridge that's gonna things off, right? Okay, those are my um I say a lot. I gotta stop doing that. Those are my whips until, okay, so we're gonna talk about this. So this is a test knit. Now, I love test knits. I like them because I'm a very goal-oriented. I like deadlines. I like kind of that plan, knowing when I have to complete something. And it's not like a deadline I'm putting on myself. Well, kind of, because I'm the one who volunteered to do the test knit. But I like them for that reason. I also love the community aspect. So oftentimes with test knits, there's like a Discord channel or a chat group of other people doing the same pattern as you. I love the inspiration. I love seeing what yarn people choose, what colors, things like that, how they style it. So I love all that part of test knits. Um, so this is another test knit that Farmer's Daughter Fibers put out. I am in their sock squad. I get their sock squad, so I'm part of their Discord channel, and they had kind of put it out there asking if anyone wanted to test this with their Pishkin base. And this is their color Tomato Red. Let's see. You guys can see I'm on almost already at the bottom. This is all I have left of that first skein. And this is a all over cabled cardigan design with a shawl collar. I've been given permission to share this and share our progress. It's called the Triple Creek Cardigan, Creek Cardi, I believe. And it's in their Pushkin base. And it's a bottom up pattern all over cables. When I did the swatch, I did have to go down a needle size, which I am a loose knitter, I've learned. So I often have to go down a needle size, but in this one, I only had to go down one needle size to get, so I was perfectly on gauge. But then I hate when my swatch lies to me. Does this happen to you guys? I have like a perfect swatch. I pick my needle size, I get gauge, but then when I knit the pattern, my gauge completely changes. Not usually this much, so you'll see what happened to me. So this is how it's knitting up so far. So beautiful. This yarn, oh my God. This yarn is heavenly. So I'm not mad about this because I will certainly use the yarn if I decide not to move forward and figure out what to do about the pattern in the test knit. But this is gorgeous. So it is so squishy. I don't have the ball band. Actually, I do. I'll grab that in a second. So anyways, this bottom up, there's my ribbing. This is my first cable repeat. Actually, I have one more row on the wrong side to do for my first cable repeat, which is an 8-row repeat. And I was like, this is looking really big, but I thought it was just because it's a oversized cardigan and obviously it has to go all around you. You're casting on all the stitches at once. But look at this thing. Like I can't even look. Okay. So I'm like, all right, this is big. So the first cable repeat, almost done. And I'm like, let me measure it. So I'm doing a size 4. I'm supposed to be, the pattern is written for 8 to 10 inches of positive ease. You're supposed to be at, I believe my size was like 48.5 inches. I'm a size 39-ish bust. And so that would give me in the recommended ease at 48-inch finished circumference. And my piece right now is measuring over a little over 51 inches. Like I was on gauge for my swatch. What did I do when I started knitting this? Oh my God. Um, I mean, look at my fabric. It's not like it's that, I mean, I guess you can kind of see the light coming through, but it's like a good fabric. It doesn't seem like the stitches are too loose. I am knitting English because it is cables and I'm not an experienced cabler. So I did switch to back I didn't do continental. I did my English style knitting, which I generally have pretty even tension with. I don't know. I don't know if I should just go down another needle size. My dilemma is if I go down another needle size and the fabric is too dense, then it's not going to drape well and it won't be like recommended for the intended drape and ease of the pattern. But then also my other is this took me forever. Now, granted, I am newer to cables. I'm not a fast knitter, but and I committed to this test knit, but knowing it was all over cabled cardi. But I just have so many things I want to be doing in the fall. I have so many like plans and things I want to be working on and things I'm inspired by. And I feel like this is just going to suck so much of my time. And do I want to spend that much time doing this? I want the finished garment. I love the yarn. I love the design. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do. So this happened just this morning that I measured this and I was like, oh no, it is really big. I should have measured it sooner, but I guess I'm only one repeat in, but it took me a very long time to get to this, just one repeat. So if I commit to this, I'm really maybe gonna have like one other side project once I finish the ones I'm working on. I don't know. What do I do? Comment below and let me know what I should do. I get it. Like I'm in a test knit. I committed to the test knit. I should just follow through with my commitment, but I do want my knitting to bring me joy. And I don't know. I don't know what to do. Um, so that's where that sits right now. Stay tuned and I'll let you know what I decide to do about that with your help, hopefully. Okay, that's that. I think that is all my whips. So I am going to now attempt to share my screen. Okay, so this is Canva. I have shared this, I believe, I don't know if I shared it on my last episode. I've shared it on social media. But what I did was I'm going to make this. Okay, so this is like my mood fall inspiration board. Bunch of patterns. I added in here. I added in the yarn that like pictures of the yarn I want to use. So just to give you an idea, this is the flock pullover in a Pearl Soho yarn, my flock vest in a CC wool. This is, I forget the name of this one, but I didn't put it on my fall plans. But there's that Harrisville Highland yarn that I did mention. I'm tried to use for my Toru relaxed raglan or Rhinebeck raglan. This is my Traveler Crew, which I do really want to do. And I have a Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia for that merino wool. And that I did do the hoodie in the past, and I really do want to do the crew pattern. So that's there. I had this beautiful ivory tweed yard I picked up, and I love this cabled cardigan. So there's that. This is the Winter's Beach cardie, another cable. Obviously, cabled cardies have been on my mind, hence me signing up for this test net. There's the Creativity Cowl by Tori Yu. This is a distal fink fiber yarn that I have and a primrose yarn that I have. This is that Lane Cloud, which this would be a quick one to do, maybe a palette cleanser. We'll see. This is a lento, which you'll tell me talk about when I'm talking about what to choose for my planning. This is She is Marguerite, which is a local indie dyer by me. She makes beautiful yarn. So I have this gorgeous merino base paired with the Ritual Dyes fluff merino. I'm sorry, a mohair to make a lento. This is a Beth McDonald stone pattern. And then this is another Mildi that I have a cashmere yarn for. So I basically took all the yarn that was inspiring me and that I want to work with, and then I picked a project and put it on this mood board in Canva. Now, then I have my template of my on-the-go social and home projects. And I threw each of those patterns that were really like calling to me and the yarn was calling to me and put them into these categories. So I have the Creativity Cowl, the Night and Day, I forget the name of this one, cowl, with a spin cycle yarn I just picked up when they had a sale at Stitch Source in Rhode Island. This is my favorite color, Deep Bump. This is the terrazzo hat, which I didn't have a yarn plan for. My cashmere mildy. So you can see those are all my on the goes. I have my socials. I just talked about those and which ones would fall in. I did check out, this is a new Teddy Lasek, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, pattern that I have in a drops melody yarn for that I was thinking of doing, but I think that one's going to have to wait. I do love this pattern though. So I put it in categories like this. I guess my question here, let me see. My question for you is, okay, so right now I have my Manhattan hat. That's my on-the-go project. When that is done, I need another on-the-go project. And I like to kind of have a plan of what's next. I think a lot of knitters can relate to that, right? So my next on the Broke project, I think, should I do like a simple beanie, which we talked about before, how I would like a simple stockinette. So maybe an all Musselburgh, I do like that pattern, or maybe the terrazzo. I can easily find a yarn in my stash for the terrazzo hat. now that I'm thinking about it, I was thinking maybe the night and day cowl for my next on the go, but I'm actually leaning more towards a stockinette beanie or a DK sock for my mom's boyfriend that I've been promising him. But I think I'm going to go with the beanie and be selfish and do it for myself. I love beanies. I don't know how that will work with my bangs. How am I going to wear a beanie with my new bangs? I don't know. Kristen, let me know. She's my hairdresser. Okay, anyways, what would happen to my bangs when I put a beanie on? All right, and then so I'm thinking, and as I'm talking through this, I'm leaning towards a beanie. So stay tuned for that. Social, I am so I have options here. I have my flock vest, which I have the CC's wool for. I have my flock pullover, which I have the Pearl Soho. This brown will be my main color, and then pops of this poppy red color and this misty blue will be my flock pullover. My Lane Cloud, which would be really nice palette cleanser. I think that one's going to work up super quickly. My Lento, that's right. Okay, so I think I wrote down my favorite projects for coming up next on my social would be my flock vest or pullover or the Lento. Those are like my three that I'm narrowing it down to. I really want to use this yarn. I think she's going to be at Rhinebeck, and that yarn seems like it's going to work up gorgeous. I want to really try that yarn. I think I can wait on this a little bit. And I do think that the vest would be a really great fall pattern. Again, a quick, probably knit, so a good palette cleanser. And the Lento is my other one. So the Lento, I want to work with this yarn specifically in the She is Marguerite. And the reason for doing the Lento before like fall festival shopping and Rhinebeck planning is because then when I go to these fall festivals, if I want to pick up like a couple skeins of a fingering weight yarn, I know that I can pair it with a fluff to make a Lento potentially. I haven't done that pattern yet. So there's a couple reasons for me. So I think what I'm going to do, I think next I'll do the flock vest, and then the Lento. I think that's what I'll do. And then for my home project, I don't know. I really don't know yet. Oh, that's right. I'm going to go get it. So I brought a couple things to show you. One is this, She is Marguerite Merino. Like, look at it has a tiny tad bit of stellina. Oh my God, I think I have to pass this on. This is stunning. I get very inspired by like yarns, and then I kind of pick the pattern to match. I mean, look at this. Here, let's get it in focus. It is so stunning. This is 100-gram skein, 400 yards, 95% superwash merino, and 5% stellina. And then I got a ritual dyes, Fay colored, lightweight, 72%, 7220 kid mohair silk, 459 yards. This is the color natural, ritual dyes Fay. And I am going to pair these together for my Lento. Stunning, right? So I think I have to cast this on next. So when I finish my Sevilla blouse, unless somebody can sway me differently, but that should be my next social project. Okay, now this is the potential. Instead of a new cast on for a home project, this is a potential to finish. Now, I've shown this a couple times. This is my Novelli. I am about halfway through the color work chart. Thank God I have my needles on here because I don't think I wrote down what size needles I was using. This is a size 4. And then it's going to switch to the body work for this like chocolate brown color. And that's just so, hold on, that's not coming. This focus. Okay, anyways. So that would be so beautiful for the fall. And this is in a yarn, Fiber Optics yarn, which I do know that they are at Rhinebeck and they have a beautiful big booth with tons of color selection. So I really love the idea of using up that yarn and then being able to maybe buy some more fiber optics when I go to Rhinebeck, which it will justify me buying more if I finish that pattern I'm working on. So maybe that will be my next home project. Um, so then once I have all those plans settled, I'm gonna then add one on the go, one social, and one home project into my queue on Ravelry. Okay. That is that. Please comment below and let me know what you think. I can be swayed any which way. Into wellness tips now. So I asked on my Instagram and on YouTube, ask me anything PT related. And actually, so I had 3 questions come in. They were all about the thumb. So one question was glove recommendations for de Quervain's tendinitis, which is a tendinitis. So there's a difference when you're having pain, like in the thumb joint, that could be like from arthritis in the joint itself. But then de Quervain's is actually usually a tendon problem, which is more like where your thumb meets the base of your wrist. And that's more like a tendon problem. Now, they both do involve the thumb, and I would say that my recommendations for both ailments are kind of similar because you want to treat your symptoms, not necessarily the diagnosis in most cases. So for they're doing some yard work next door. I apologize if you guys can hear that, but it is what it is. This is life, right? So for the gloves, now I do have a couple recommendations for you before we talk about gloves, but one of the recommendations I have is to actually sorry, I'm all over the place. This is how my brain works. Woo. Okay, so the other question was thumb arthritis and what to do, ideas for that. The other question was base of thumb hand pain. So these recommendations are actually going to be hopefully helpful for all of these questions. Okay, so something you can try doing is loosening up your grip. That 9 times out of 10 can make a huge difference, not just for your thumb, but just ailments in general. So when you knit, are you like holding your needles with a death grip? Can you loosen up? Can you maybe switch materials of the needle, not mid-project, but for your next cast on? Try a wood needle, try bamboo, try driftwood, try metal, and see which needle gives you the most natural grip that you are able to work the yarn easily. So if you're using, a superwash slippery yarn, maybe consider it like a bamboo or a wood needle so that you don't have to grip the needle as much or the yarn's not slipping off too much of a metal needle. And then if you're using like a rustic wool, maybe a wood or bamboo or driftwood isn't the best choice because it's going to grip the needle more, which requires more effort from your body to push the yarn over the needles. So thinking about loosening up your grip and changing up your needle type can really help. Another thing you can think about, and I posted a little short in an Instagram reel about this, but just how you hold your needles. So when you're holding your needle like this across your knitting on your right side, if you're an English style knitter, or I would actually say this could be true too with continental knitters, but let's talk about English for now when you're throwing. If you're holding your yarn this way and you're causing your shoulder to internally rotate and adduct, so adduction, it means across your body. Abduction means away. So when you're causing your shoulder to internally rotate and adduct across your body, which I know I'm holding it up here, but just so you can see it in frame. So if your knitting's here and you're constantly doing this, like see how your shoulder's causing a lot of repetition there of internal rotation and adduction. But then if you hold your needle more upright and you put your shoulder into a more neutral position, then you are causing less of that internal rotation adduction strain, which, not to get too scientific with this, but your rotator cuff tendon runs through a very small space in your shoulder. And the more internal rotation adduction you have and forward positioning, that causes impingement in that area. So the more you can open yourself up, which turning the needle upright can help you with that and lead to, one, if you're having pain, reduce the pain. Two is for preventative measures so you don't develop a tendonitis from the repetitive strain that we do with knitting and making. Okay, so that something else, and you've heard me preach about this, but if you're new here, maybe this is the first time you're hearing this, is taking breaks. That's why I created my Knit for Life app, so use it. You're going to take breaks every 20 to 30 minutes based on how you're feeling, and taking breaks. That can make a huge, huge difference, not just for thumb pain, but just any kind of ailment, really. And even like your psyche. I think that, you know, we can get into like that obsessed, like one more row, one more stitch, you know, finish this, finish that. But just taking a break, letting yourself move a little bit, and then getting back to your knitting. And when I say a break, I literally mean like stand up for 10 seconds, sit down, something like that. On my app, I do have like a ton of stretches and recommendations and exercises you can do. But breaking could just be uncrossing your leg and crossing the other one over. But you really, in my opinion, need like an audible reminder to remind you to take breaks. And that's all of what my app, which is called Knit for Life. If you're new here and you haven't heard of it before, you can find it on iOS, but then also on, you can use it as a web-based app on Google or an Android device. You just have to download it as an app, which I will put all those instructions as always in the show notes. But again, it's called Knit for Life. It's a free app, just to really help knitters be mindful about taking breaks. Okay. Something else that, and somebody asked about gloves. This was in a recommendation that I wanted to make. Now, I recommend starting with, I'll post the link on Amazon, but an inexpensive pair of just compression gloves. Let's make sure this is in frame. So this is just like a neoprene. It looks like a sock, and you want it to have this thumb hole in it. This one, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but you'll be able to see once I post the link. Yeah, it's black and it's like going into my black shirt. But there's a hole here. I'll show you. Okay, so there's a hole here for my thumb. Now these are pretty snug, which I have big hands, but you want them pretty snug. Now, can you see there? And the thumb goes through that hole. It compresses at your wrist, and this one has a little pad for a little bit of extra support on that base of your thumb, which is the decurvains and the thumb arthritis. Usually that's where you have your discomfort and your strain. So wearing something like this can help. I also recommend, I recommend using like an arnica gel or cream, which I'll post the link below. You can rub that all over your hands before you knit to warm up. Then if you get yourself like putty, this is just a TheraPutty. And again, Amazon does sell this. I'll post it, but you can just, if you have silly putty laying around, any kind of putty will do. Put the arnica gel or cream on your hands and then just like work this putty and work your hand, warm it up, get all those muscles moving. Do this for about like 3 to 5 minutes before you knit, before you have your knitting sessions, or between breaks actually too. And then put your gloves on. And this way your tendons, your muscles, your nerves, everything is all warmed up and ready to go. Just like you would warm up before you exercise, you can warm up before you knit too. I do have some videos in my YouTube channel about like warm up, specifically exercises you can do before knitting, but just something simple like this works. But so I'll post these links. I recommend starting with a glove like this to see if it helps you. Now, if you're having severe pain that's stopping you from knitting, like for the decurvains or thumb arthritis, or any other diagnosis that's causing issues in your hands, I would recommend one, thinking about your sleeping position. So a lot of us, especially if we're side sleepers, sleep with like our hands curled up under our pillow. I know I tend to do that. And over long periods of time, that's causing like a lot of compression. So I would recommend looking into like night, you can look up carpal tunnel night braces. They're just like simple braces that you can put on that prevent you from causing that severe compression into that flex position under your pillow. Something else you can look into is something called a thumb spica, which is a spica just means that it supports the thumb. So it's a brace that usually is a little bit more rigid than this kind of stretchy kind. And then you put your thumb through it. Again, I'm going to post a picture here so you can see what I'm talking about. And then it has no, it's more rigid. So I don't recommend knitting with this. I recommend possibly wearing it, maybe if you're going to be doing something else. So let's say you're doing some gardening, you're doing computer work, you're doing something that's repetitive in nature. You're doing you're making, I'm right now working on sourdough. I should have put that in my notes. But I just woke up Sally, my sourdough starter. It's been dormant in the fridge. And so I just woke up my starter and I started making sourdough again. But if you're like doing a lot of kneading with bread or anything that's repetitive in nature, put a thumb spica on. And that can help one, prevent repetitive strain, and two is if you're having issues, then wear the thumb spiker, but then take it off for your knitting. So that's something you can try. Again, gloves and devices like this are not an excuse to continue to do what you're doing through pain. I'm going to say that again. If you wear a glove, it's not permission to ignore your body's signals and just keep going. You got to kind of listen to your body. Now, this actually gets me on to my next subject. So, my next subject, I want to talk about journaling your symptoms. So, now in my Knit for Life app, if you do choose to use that, there is a section where it will ask you every time you take a break, 20 to 30 minutes, it will ask you to see how you're feeling. So, during your WIP, how are you feeling? And if you repeatedly report certain symptoms, it will take note of that for you. But you could honestly just do this in a journal. I use GoodNotes on my iPad, but anything you want to use, and just start to write down like what you're feeling. So I'm working on my cabled cardigan, and every time I'm on the wrong side row or the right side row or whatever it is, I feel pain. So like, let's say I'm just going to use the traveler pattern, for instance, when it has like pearls across. I'm working on 4 purl rows in a row. And every time I purl across these rows, by the time I get to my 4th row in this pattern, I'm feeling shoulder pain, right? So start to just write down those symptoms. Now, don't make judgment around those symptoms, just write them down. And then what you can start to do is see if if there's patterns. Patterns, what I mean by like trends. So is it that every time I work on let's take a sock. I'm working on a 9-inch circular. I'm working on thin fingering weight yarn. Every time I work on my 9-inch circular, I have pain in my wrist or my thumb. But then when I do magic loop, I don't, right? The needles are longer, depending upon your technique. So I want you to start evaluating. Now, I'm going to have a lot more further conversations and information about this process, but just start there. Start with journaling your symptoms, because a lot of times the answer is going to be in what you're telling yourself, right? So start there. So I actually today I am going over to the post office and mailing out the giveaway I gave for my 2,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. I am so excited about every single one of you that have been watching my videos and interacting with my content. I really, really appreciate it. This has been a dream of mine to combine my passions of physical therapy and wellness with knitting, and I'm so excited about it. But I really appreciate all of you. And in my appreciation, I decided to do a giveaway of some beautiful yarn and Twinkle Dimple stitch markers. So 2 of my winners did get back to me, but 1 did not. So if you watched last episode, see if you were a winner. And if you did, if you're that 3rd person that did not reach out to me, please reach out. I will have your name on the screen here so I can get you that giveaway. Now, on my last episode, I did a pattern giveaway, which I'm going to be doing on every single episode now, I decided. So on my last episode, I did a giveaway for a pattern. So I will need your Ravelry name, but the winner is posted here. If this is you, I want you to go ahead and reach out to me. You can email me at brette13@gmail.com. All this information is below. Instagram, you can message me, or you can message me on Ravelry and let me know that you won, and I will send you your free pattern of choice. And then on today's video, I want you to comment below, and you're going to put the little book emoji or journal emoji, anything to do with like reading, and write the word journal. And maybe for fun, just like comment how you're going to implement this strategy. Is this something new to you? Are you like, no way, Brett, you're crazy? Just write something about that whole aspect of journaling that I just spoke about. So the journal or book emoji or pen, just something to do with like journaling or writing, and then write a comment about how you're going to implement this and write the word journal. All right. Journal has to be in there, because when I do my comment picker, I can pick like a key word, and I'm going to put in the word journal. So if you want to be entered into the pattern giveaway, write the word journal. Okay, I also just want to apologize if my view changes or like the screen or audio changes. Just sometimes I just got to get up, like let the dogs out or whatever I'm doing. So I apologize if that bothers anyone. But again, this is life, and my goal with this is not to be like a super edited, polished podcast. It's just to talk to you, real life situations, and then also share whatever I can about wellness. My main focus is on prevention of injury, but obviously helping if you're having discomfort as well. So let's talk a little bit about my shirt. So I'm going to try to stand up and stay in frame here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So you can, okay, can you see? My sound is probably going away, but this is okay. So this is a t-shirt that I have a very small quantity right now, but I do, if there's interest, I am happy to get more made. This obviously says Knit for Life. It's embroidered. This is a Comfort Colors t-shirt. I got them right now in large and extra large, only in the black to start with the white stitching. And Knit for Life is obviously my brand name, but to me, Knit for Life means a lot more than just what I named my brand. It is like for you, what does that mean to you? Now, I'm a big believer in, and maybe this is like my analytical thinking, but I'm a big believer in trying to figure out why. So, like, we all do things for a reason. Well, most of us do. And what is that reason? So when you know your why, this is like the whole Simon Sinek why discussion, the TED Talk. But if you know your why, then you can get to where you're going easier, in my mind. So let me give you an example. Let's talk about like making the effort to use Knit for Life app or take breaks, setting that timer. Why are you doing that? So if you're doing that just because I told you to, then great. That's your why. If you're doing that so that you can prevent injury, then fantastic. If you're doing that because you want to prevent injury so that you can knit for life, then amazing. So I feel like there's different layers to your why, and sometimes your why could be something so simple, and other times it's a little bit deeper. But maybe put in the comments, like, what does knit for life mean for you? What do you knit for? So there is last earlier in the week and I'm going to post the word bubble here, but earlier in the week I posted on maybe it was last week on my Instagram, like, what do you knit for? Finish the sentence. And people put in all different kinds of comments, which was fantastic. And as you'll see here in the video, I'm put a word bubble of everyone's comments, but I encourage you to ask you, let's like create a bigger word bubble. Put in the comments here, what do you knit for? Do you knit for your sanity, your health, creativity, connection, comfort, for others, for yourself? I already said for yourself, for the vibes, for your mind, for whatever it is. There's so many different reasons we knit, and it might change day to day, year to year, whatever it is. What do you knit for? So this like knit for life is so much bigger meaning. It's for you, like you're knit for your life. I'm just so passionate about this, and not just like the injury prevention and wellness side of it, but the mental piece of it. Like, what does knitting mean to you? For me, it's part of my identity. It is something that brings me so much joy. It One of the things I thought about when I was thinking about like why I love knitting so much, there's so many reasons, but one of the reasons I love is that it gives me like I used to be a runner, and I hated running. I hated running, but I love doing the races. I love the community, and I loved being around all those people and the energy at race day. And I loved having that like deadline, right? Like that goal. I shouldn't say deadline. It was a goal. So like with knitting, like I know I'm doing this and this and this to get this finished product. In addition to loving the process, it gives me like a sense of purpose, creativity, connection. There's just so many reasons. And honestly, it changes all the time. And I find new things I love about knitting all the time, but I knit for so many reasons. So what do you knit for? I just had to go get my daughter at school, so I am back, although I edited that out so you guys don't know the difference, except for maybe a little bit of an angle change. So I one is I just wanted to talk about how think I left off at just talking about, oh yeah, why you knit. And I want to talk about how you can get the t-shirt if you're interested. So again, I have a very small batch right now that I can place orders for. There's no fancy form or anything up yet. Just please message me on Instagram. You can comment here and I can send you a link of how to order it, or you can email me. And all those descriptions will be in the show notes. But if you're interested in getting one of these Comfort Colors Knit for Life shirts, then please reach out. And again, you can wear yours. So I have larges and extra larges. They're unisex sizing. Comfort Colors is the brand. Super, super comfy. And I like to crop mine. So, well, not crop, but I like to cut them so that they're more like at where my high-waisted jeans are. So those are the t-shirts. And then also I want to talk a little bit about each episode. I'd love to be able to highlight another YouTube podcaster, a knitting podcast, or others as I'm inspired by them. But what someone I want to mention that I found recently, I think I found her through looking at like flock hauls because that was fascinating to me, is let's pull it up so I don't butcher the name of her beautiful podcast. So the name is Shannon Rogers at Shenanigans and Skeins. And she is hysterical. I really enjoy her personality and just how she shares her makes. And she knits, she spins, and she did like a flock haul again. I think that's how I found her. And I've watched a couple episodes since then. Episode 11 was when she did a flock haul with her friend. I'm not sure how long she's been podcasting. Maybe not that long. I'm not sure, but she is hysterical. So go give her a watch if you like binging YouTube podcasts like I do, or knitting podcasts like I do. Okay, I think that is it. I've done enough blabbing for today, but don't forget to put a comment below and reach out if there's anything that you want to chat with me about. I really, really appreciate you being here. Until next time, happy knitting, and I hope you can find comfort in every stitch. Bye now.
All right, I just recorded the episode earlier today, and I haven't even edited yet, but then I remembered that I felt like I was forgetting to talk about something, and I had planned on talking about like my fall plans for festivals. So I figured I'd just throw that in here quickly and add this clip in. I am walking my dog. May I say hi? Anyways, so it's a beautiful day here. It's like in the mid 70s, and I just dropped my daughter off at soccer, and I'm just taking a walk on this trail. But anyways, for the fall, I'm planning on going to Boston Fiber Festival. I'm actually going to be volunteering there on Saturday morning. And then I am going to be going to hopefully either the South Shore Yarn Crawl or the Boston Yarn Crawl, one of the two. Maybe try to hit a couple stores of one of those or both of those yarn crawls. We'll see. I'll probably hit the Plymouth yarn store that I talked about in my last episode. Sorry, I'm out of breath. When I talked about Mia, come here. What is that? I don't know what she was sniffing over there. But anyways, so I will probably hit the Plymouth one on the South Shore Yarn Crawl, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. And then, of course, for Rhinebeck weekend, I have Perfect Blend Yarn and Tea that I'm doing my Knit for Life workshop on that Thursday at 12 o'clock. Then I have Wool and Affair Thursday night, Friday morning cake, and then Friday potentially going to Indy as well. I don't have tickets for that yet, so we'll see. And then Rhinebeck on Saturday and Rhinebeck on Sunday, which I'm super excited about because I've never been on Sunday. All right, so I'll pop this clip in here just so I realized what I forgot to talk about.